Could the delicious red chips you're eating cause you colon cancer? In this video, we will explore the effects of eating red dye 40 on your colon to educate people who eat foods with processed dyes. What is red dye 40? Red dye 40 is also known as Allura Red and is made from petroleum, which is a natural substance. It is used in foods like cereal, frosting, yogurts, energy drinks, and chips. The functions of the colon. The colon is the largest part of the large intestine. It absorbs the water and electrolytes that are left in the waste that is being prepared to be excreted. In the top right photo, you can see the orange and purple section. This is the colon. In this top right photo of that photo, you can see that there is a polyp in a colon, which is a cancerous polyp. We will talk more about that later on. What is colon cancer? Colon cancer is the rapid growth of cells in the part of the large intestine called the colon. Certain food irritates the lining of the large intestine, and it can cause inflammation, which leads to polyps developing in the colon. Not all polyps become cancerous, but can develop into cancer over time. How does colon cancer form? Cancer starts by a DNA mutation that turns off a tumor suppressor gene or turns on an oncogene, which drive the cell cycle to go faster. Tumor suppressor genes, when turned off, allow the cell cycle to continue when it is not ready to continue, and when oncogenes are turned on, it has the same effect. These cells then rapidly multiply because there is no tumor suppressor and the oncogene is always turned on, and it is not on to stop the cell growth and division. The cells can either grow into a malignant lump or a benign lump, but they usually start as a polyp. Now that we have learned about what red dye 40 is and what colon cancer is and how it develops, we can ask the question, does red dye 40 cause colon cancer? To begin providing evidence of whether red dye 40 causes colon cancer, the first research study that I will talk about is titled "The Synthetic Food Dye Red 40 Causes DNA Damage, Causes Colonic Inflammation, and Impacts the Microbiome in Mice." The type of study is an animal research and controlled experiment. The quote states, "Our results show that red 40 damages DNA both in vitro and in vivo, and that consumption of red 40 in the presence of a high-fat diet for 10 months leads to dysbiosis and low-grade colonic inflammation in mice." The main goal of this study is to test if red dye 40 causes DNA damage and colon inflammation over time, and if it eventually leads to cancer. This quote explains how they tested cells on a petri dish and in mice and found that the colon cells had inflammation and experienced dysbiosis, which is when the bacteria in one's stomach is affected and has imbalances. Although this provides evidence that red dye 40 can cause colon inflammation, which then leads to colon cancer, the mice were also given a diet that was high in fat, which can also cause colon inflammation, which can eventually lead to colon cancer, so it is not a direct cause. The next quote is from the same study, and it states, "While this demonstrates a robust connection between intrinsic, recurrent, high-grade inflammation and cancer, emerging evidence highlights that even subtle, chronic inflammation can contribute to colorectal cancer development." This demonstrates that even though red dye 40 only caused low-grade inflammation in the mice, it can still cause cancer in the colon. The next study I'm using is titled "Chronic Exposure to Synthetic Food Colorant Allura Red AC Promotes Susceptibility to Experimental Colitis via Intestinal Serotonin in Mice." Here in this diagram, you can see how Allura Red increases inflammation in the mucosal cells of the colon. This quote states, "Graphical abstract showing the effect of AR in the development of colitis. AR disrupts the intestinal epithelial barrier integrity via MLCK and mucus layer, while AR also stimulates colonic 5-HT secretion, modulates the gut microbiota composition, and promotes colitis. Under GF conditions, AR also induces colonic 5-HT secretion, which primes for inflammatory reactions. This quote basically states it causes colitis and inflammation, which can eventually lead to colon cancer. The next quote is from the same study, and it states, however, exposure to AR during early life primes mice to heightened susceptibility to colitis. In addition, chronic exposure to AR induces mild colitis, which is associated with elevated colonic serotonin levels and impairment of the epithelial barrier function via myosin light chain kinase. The goal of the study was to determine if the synthetic food dyes used in many everyday foods had an effect on the colon and can cause colitis. In more simple terms, over time, exposure to Allura Red weakens the stomach lining. Myosin light chain kinase messes with the stomach lining's system on defending foreign bodies from weakening it. The last study that I found evidence in is titled Gene Toxicity Assessment of Amaranth and Allura Red using Saccharomyces cerevisiae. The quote states, no significant gene toxic activity of amaranth and Allura Red was observed at 28 degrees Celsius, but at 37 degrees Celsius, these dyes caused DNA damage at different concentrations and with different time exposure. The possible reason of it could be that amaranth and Allura Red has optimal action on yeast cells at 37 degrees Celsius. And this study was done through animal research and through a controlled experiment. The goal of the study was to see if yeast cells' DNA are affected by Allura Red at different temperatures. So at 37 degrees Celsius, which is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the optimal human body temperature, increases DNA damage in yeast cells, but did not increase it at lower temperatures tested. This shows that Allura Red has the most effect when it is at the optimal temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Through all these pieces of evidence, we found that there's a slight causation between red dye 40 and Allura Red and colon cancer, although it is not a direct causation because there is also an accompaniment with a high-fat diet. So red 40 is not a direct cause of colon cancer. Lastly, here are a few foods you can replace in your diet that will have less red 40. You can replace rolled corn tortilla chips, flavored chili and lime from Trader Joe's instead of Takis, or you can eat Annie's bunny fruit flavored snacks over Welch's fruit snacks, both which do not have red 40 in them. Thank you, and that is all.